Okay, looks like we're live. Double checking everything. This is the part where I get everything set up. Sorry for running a little late. That's kind of normal for me. I was trying to get something going, and you know what? I don't have my video going. Let's get some video on here. Display capture, video capture device. Go and remove that. Yeah, let's go ahead and add a video capture device. It will be a new one. Okay. And FaceTime. Okay, we'll go with it. I don't know why my webcam isn't on, but it's not a bad idea. Oh gosh, that's huge. There we go. Okay, there's chat for me. In case you want to chat and ask questions, you're more than welcome to. Maybe now you won't see like my huge thing. You'll still hear it. I love that sound. But I won't look so big, my huge mug. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, I need to stop looking at my video of myself. Hold on, let me... Yeah, sound works. Just making sure everything is working. It's craziness. All you see is this crazy Kevin Helmholtz clouds. That's those little curvy clouds. This is what I'm currently looking at. Is how to start a Postgres server, because what I'm trying to do is trying to get a tool called Spectre working, and I'm having a lot of trouble with it because of a lot of things. So we will keep working, and I think I'm gonna try and get this going today and kind of show you what at least the idea that I have in mind for all this. I'm gonna switch mouses because this mouse is really loud and I don't want it to be so loud. So what I need to do is turn my mouse back on, and hopefully it hasn't run out of battery. It's this little magic mouse or whatever you call it. And I also need Bluetooth on there. So many things, so many things. While I wait, hey look, I have a mouse. I want to mention a few things on my course. Shameless self-promotion here, but do let that load. I added some ratings, got some decent ratings there from some great students. Another thing that I did was filled in all the blanks on the lessons that I'll be going through. These may still change depending on what comes up and how I write everything out. For example, I was planning on having the state commands all be one video, and then I realized that it really needed to be separate videos. So I just released is existing and is visible. I'm working on has focus right now, and then I'll hit up the wait commands. This may also be expanded out into multiple videos. I like to keep them shorter. You can see this one's like 11 minutes. That's the longest I've done so far, but I really prefer around the 5-minute time mark because I think it's just easier to fit it into your schedule, and it's easier for me to produce. I don't have to create as much content all at once, and I can release it a little bit quicker than normal. So you may see that change, but with all of these planned lessons, one thing you'll notice is that there are 47 planned lessons, and I'm like, that's a lot. But it covers all these things that I really want to get into, and things people have mentioned, including Team City. People are interested in that. We went over the Allure Reporter and JUnit as well. New ones including this WebdriverIO screenshot and visual regression services that are pretty new. We'll see what's going on with WebDriver CSS when I get to that and things like that. So a lot of stuff in here planned, and with that, I really want to get a lot of the content out there. So I broke up into 2 separate packages. A starter package, which is the first 6 modules. That gives you everything up to page objects, because I think that's like, this type of stuff is everything you need to know to really get started and trying out WebdriverIO. Everything beyond that is more like testing in the Selenium cloud, testing everywhere, CI/CD integration, maybe less visual regression testing, but also like test reporting and stuff. That's a lot to do with like teams and stuff. So I call that the professional package, because this is like, you really want to use it professionally. So the price stayed the same for the full course. I kept it at $97. It's going to jump up to $297 because I realized that 45 videos is a lot of content, which is really good. Really excited to get that out there, but it's going to take a lot of time from me I did want to break off and create kind of a smaller package for people who maybe want to check it out and learn some stuff, but don't quite want to spend as much. So you can get all 16, 17 videos right now for $67, or and that'll get you up to the 6 modules. Otherwise, if you want them all, then it's the same price as before. So I'm trying to do this as transparently as I can and as honestly as I can. But you know, from a time perspective, I've really got to commit a lot of time to get this stuff in place. I love doing it, but he's got to pay the bills and all that kind of stuff. Another thing that I added was a companion ebook to the professional edition. Basically, this is going to be a conversion of all the transcripts of the videos. I'm going to take those transcripts and I'm going to convert them to an ebook. It'll be on LeanPub. I've published through there before. It's a really cool little system. So that's what that is. And then the other item is that I moved the course date back yet again. Hoping for end of 2016 if I can get some better, some quicker video editing in place with the has focus command, kind of more like this style than other styles, the really highly polished style that I've got going before. I'll be able to release these videos quicker, and then once they're all released, I'll probably go back and one at a time slowly update these to be that highly polished style that I really like. So that's that. I just want to mention it before we get started. Yeah, next up is what I'm taking a look at right now is Spectre, and I was really hoping to get this running before I started this, but I wasn't able to. And there are two things that I wanted to do. One of them is to Spectre, just to let you know, is kind of a visual regression comparison tool. So it doesn't actually take the screenshots, but it lets you store screenshots and compare them. Similar to WebDriver CSS admin panel, if you've used that, really similar to that. Visual Review, it also is a kind of based off of Visual Review. So if you've used Visual Review, it's also there. But it's really nice in that it's just a plain API that you can hit, and it doesn't care about what you're using for your testing. So you can see it talks about using Wraith or Backstop, Selenium, which is what WebdriverIO uses. So cool stuff. It's written in Ruby, which is probably what's given me the trouble right now because I'm just not that familiar with Ruby. I know enough to like install gems and things like that and copy and paste commands, but anytime those commands fail, I have a lot of trouble. So I created a deployed Heroku script, kind of neat in that if you click this, it'll bring up your Heroku dashboard, or if you have Heroku and a Heroku account, it'll bring that up and you can create your own Spectre version. And let's just try attempt number 2. I should only attempt 2. So that's my app name. Spectre Wednesday. There we go. Spectre Wed. And I'm going to deploy this. And let's see how this works. So this just goes in and builds everything according to a file in Spectre. Let me see how I did this. It's been like 2 months since I've done this, so yeah. Pull requests. Oh, they have a projects tab. Look at that. Spectre is the project. Oh, getting distracted. I always get distracted. So here's the pull request I sent in, and let's see what I did. That's that. I created an app.json file. In it, it will check out this. It will run these commands after deploy, and then it has some add-ons for it. So in this case, Postgres SQL. So let's see how this is going. Everything is still running. And in the meantime, I'll show you what the final output should look like. It's this kind of admin interface. You have different projects, and then in them you'll have suites, and in those suites you'll have test runs, and in these test runs you're going to have images. So I've been able to do everything on here. This is just running on Heroku. I've been able to do everything except upload images, and it's just driving me crazy. When I try this on Heroku, it gives me a error, 422 error, basically saying that access is denied. So I've got Postman open here. The Postman will just create a kind of API request call. Normally we do this through JavaScript, through like the request module in JavaScript. Anyway, so I upload my run ID, my suite name, all this kind of stuff, and then my screenshot that I want to upload. And it's not supposed to tell me that my change was rejected. I think this has something to do with the way that Heroku is set up, in that for whatever reason it just doesn't like that. So I don't know, I'm gonna try this again and see if I can get this app to work. Let's go ahead and view the app. So in here I can create a new project by hitting it with a project name, I think. Let me double check. Okay, so this is the URL I'm going to use for my requests. So I'll replace that. Oops. Here to there. There we go. And if I hit send, what's this going to do? Oops, not the right thing. I'm trying to post to it. I need to post tests. What's send do? Yeah, it's still giving me trouble. I mean, I'm not really sending this in the right way. I should have like, I should create a run first, but for whatever reason, it's just not happy. So whenever I try to get that, and there's actually a view that you can try this out, test/new. It's kind of this dummy little view where you can upload things. So here I'm going to upload a file, and this should return successfully, but it doesn't even work on this. So this is part of what I think is something in the Heroku configuration that's wrong. Not entirely sure. So I thought to myself, hey, let's run this locally, because you know, running it locally always works. That's a fair statement. And now I've got just a whole bunch of issues with like, how do I install Postgres, and what is this? Require can't load. Yeah, so now I'm trying to install Postgres so that I can run Spectre, because when I try and see, that's grep, yeah. When I try and run the rate command here, it gives me an error because I don't think my Postgres thing is installed. But I think what I'm going to do is not bore y'all with trying to figure this out. If anybody knows how to do a gem, or I guess a brew install Postgres SQL, maybe I need to do that. I don't. Something's up with my brew. Yeah, that's just all messed up. All messed up. So something's going on there. I don't know. But what I will show is my code that I would be using for this had it worked. So I've got a basic file here, and I'm going to uncomment this out and pretend that this all works. But this should seem familiar. This is WebDriver 3, I think. Let's see if I can open package.json. Oh, here it is. No, this is 4. I guess I'm not using the async or the sync version, which I think I probably was trying to use it, but I didn't, because I was just debugging a whole bunch of stuff. But basically what I'll do is I'll create my describe blocks as normal. But you know, I think there's like a suite block as well. Yeah, I didn't know that, but that's a thing. Or it might be a thing. So it should look good. Basically, I'm going to go to this landing page. I'm going to go to this blog page on my local server and then take a screenshot of it. And then I'm going to try and upload the screenshot to the Spectre site. So start run is a custom function that I'm going to run. And that's just going to post to the runs endpoint my project name and my suite name. And that works just great. It's works really well. So if I change this and then I'm going to comment this back out. Not that it doesn't work, but it just takes a little bit of time to run because it has to load the page and I have to have the page running locally, and I don't think I do have it running locally and all that kind of stuff. But it's going to call start run. It's going to create this project for me. And then from there, it's going to get the run ID. I'm going to pass that into a custom send screenshot command that I have with some information in the screenshot that it took. So WebdriverIO is going to take a screenshot. Then I'll start this run in Spectre and pass in the screenshot is the idea. Send screenshot, it just fills out some information about the screenshot that it wants to run. Here I am just debugging some stuff. And then it's going to hit this test endpoint. And this is where it should work, and it doesn't because of, I'm guessing when you try and upload a file or something, Heroku's not, like the security on that is interfering, which is probably a good thing. Keeps me from getting in trouble. But so I'm going to jump into my tests. And I'm going to run this. So I'll do node specs blog. So I don't even, yeah. Is that right? Yeah. So I'm running this through node. I'm not running this through that's weird. I don't know how this is working. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm running it through node because it's not actually running anything in WebdriverIO right now because I've commented that all out. Preferably you would run your npm test or your wdio test command to make that work. But because that's not the problem, like all of this works just fine. I commented everything else out and I'm just running it as a node script, seeing if I can upload this data to my server. And if I go back to my server here, and I go to projects, you should see a new project. Yeah, here's the new project that I just created with the suite name that I created. If I change this to a different suite name, I wonder what happens. I'm curious about what the interface looks like. Oh, cool. So it just creates a new suite. So that's kind of neat. You can have multiple suites and different runs of those suites and everything. And here is my actual test run, and it didn't find any tests because it didn't upload any tests. So every time you run a test, it's going to add a run to it. So here are all my runs and everything and all that kind of stuff. And I should have baseline images here, which I don't. If you see in Spectre, it kind of has, here are your suites, here are your runs with your passing, failing, and then the comparison. Here you can compare. On this run, these were the screenshots that I took, and it failed. Well, I can update this and set it as the baseline. So it looks really cool. I'm still trying to figure out why I'm getting this error, and then also why I'm not able to understand how to install Postgres on Ruby, or what's up with my brew install, things like that. So it is what it is. Not the most fun, but yeah. Okay. What else do I want to talk about? So I need to get Postgres installed. They should have like a link here. Brew. I told you I wasn't going to do this, and I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I want to show. I guess one thing I didn't talk about last time was I fixed the has focus issue that I was trying to figure out. Yeah, install Postgres. Yeah, I keep getting some Ruby error. There's probably something messed up in my Ruby install. Yep. Okay. I'm going to ignore that. So I'm going to close all this kind of stuff out. And I'm going to jump back to my course content and start my server. So, oh, actually, I need to get the latest. I do have the latest. Okay, what I want to show is how has focus works. And I'm actually not going to keep the stream going for too long. I'm probably going to do about 10 more minutes. I don't want to do a full hour again. It's fun, but it's just a lot. So, okay, I'm going to start my server. And I'll open that up. So this is my little demo server. On the products page is a form, and I've added a couple things to this form. First, when you hit submit review, the errors show, and then the focus jumps to the email address form. And then if you have like a decent email address in there, and then you hit submit review again, the focus will jump to the place where the error is. And then if you finally add correct stuff, it'll add it in there and then clear out your fields. So we can test this all out by saying, I'm gonna open up, actually, here's what I'm gonna do. In here, I'm going to jump into my tests and then review. So this is kind of the code that I'm writing for the isExisting command and the isVisible command. And the last thing I have in here is that it should focus on the first invalid input field on error. So I'm going to take this message. I'm going to use my little it hotkey. It's a Mocha plugin for Sublime Text. And paste in my test name. And then from here, I'm going to, it already loads the URL. I'm just going to submit the form. So submit my form here. If you're not familiar, submit form, submits a form, crazy. And then any ID or any element you pass in that's either inside the form or the form itself would work. So I could just do this as form if I wanted to. Okay, and then the other thing I'm going to do is only, because I only want to run this test for now. So I'm going to submit the form, and then I'm going to get the focus, or I'm going to check to see if my first input field has focus. First in, okay, should have focus. So if I do variable email has focus, browser.hasFocus. And then the ID is review email for that input field. And then I'll expect email has focus. And I'm going to add a message here that email, basically my comment, so I can just remove this comment. That's what I really like about these messages. They're both functional and they're good for comments to be true. So I'm going to expect this to be true, and yeah. So if I run this, I'm going to run npm test, and I'm going to pass in the specs command so that I only run one, which is going to be review.js. Oh, I need to start my Selenium server. One thing when I started this course, started the content on it, Selenium standalone was around, but the service wasn't there yet. So I created a little script called Selser that just starts Selenium standalone on your own. I need to go back in and convert this to the server, to the service, because it's so much easier. But for now, I'm just going to go with this. Oops. Let's see, so it loads, takes me to the product page. It looks like it's running all the tests. That's great. think it was supposed to be spec. Let me see. Spec test review. Yeah, it's supposed to be spec. So let's try that again. Okay, yeah. Awesome. So it passes because the focus is on that form field. One thing we can do is make sure that the focus wasn't there to begin with. So I'm going to set this to false, and then I'll update email has focus, and now it should be true. And I'll run this again, and this should pass again. Good. This always makes me nervous. So some things I do is just make sure that it fails. And I think I've mentioned this before, but I don't trust myself when I'm writing these tests. So I try to make sure that they fail on purpose. Yeah, expected to be false. Should not have focus. So that's what I'll do, is I'll just change the assertion and make sure that it fails. So the other half of that is we want to send in a valid email to make sure that the focus jumps to the product review field. So I'm going to add a review email, then I'm going to submit the form again, and then review content. And I'm going to name this content has focus. So content should have focus. Let's try this out. There we go. And then let me see if I hit enter. Okay, so if I hit enter and it's good, then neither of these should have focus. It shouldn't move focus if everything went well. So that's the last test I'll write for this, or the last bit. I could break this up into, should focus on the first invalid input. Yeah, I could break this up into multiple tests if I wanted to, but I kind of don't mind it being sequential because it's kind of nice to have all that in there. Or you could just create multiple variants of this. So the next thing I'm going to do is set the value and of my content, review content, to is my review, and then I'm going to expect I'll get the focus, or I'll get the focus for both the email and the content, and ensure that they're both false. To be false. Yeah, so that should be good, and let's see what it does. Expected true to be false. Email should not have focus. Content should not have focus. Oh, I didn't submit the form. See, if that had passed, it would have been bad because I would have thought that it was working. Let's see how this works. So there's that, and content should not have focus. I wonder if when I submit the form, it's keeping, it doesn't actually move the focus. I could try clicking this instead, and that should move the focus. So instead of submit form, I'm going to do a click, and then I'm going to get the selector for this, which is going to be just a button. So that'll be like form button. And I might actually do the same thing for here. Instead of submitting the form, because perhaps the focus is staying on there when it really isn't. So I want to click it, or when it really isn't getting moved. Type and then click. Content should have focus. Expected true, false to be true. Content should have focus. So here's where it failed. I wonder if this click didn't work. I'm guessing it didn't. I think I did something wrong here. Form button. Let me think. Form. What if I just do button? I think. Oh, you know what? There's two forms on the page. That's right. I need to specify this form, comment form. There's a form at the top of the page that is for ordering a product. So I want to do the comment form because what it's probably doing is submitting that other, or clicking the button on that other form, which does absolutely nothing. Same thing. Well, let's jump into debug because I want to see what's going on. So once I click that, I'm going to do my debug command, and then I'll set the timeout on the test to something high so that it doesn't error out. So that gives me 100 seconds. I have 100 seconds to do this. I'll be okay. Interesting. I wonder if it's not clicking this. No, I mean, it is clicking it because, well, if I click that example.com, as soon as I set focus on this field, that goes away. Let's skip this test. Set the value, and I'm going to move this down. I'm going to see if it actually submits the form. I may be, oh jeez, what did I do? I may be completely wrong about this click command. I may have something wrong about it. It may not even be click. No, it sent it. Oh well. Sometimes tests just don't want to work. So I'll undo all that. What am I doing wrong here? Review content should have focus. I guess I'll just submit the form. Email should have focus. And then the other thing I guess I could do is just validate that content doesn't have focus at this point. So before I submit, before I set the value, I'm gonna go with this, and we'll just be happy with it. It's just gonna have to be the way it is, but that has focus. Sometimes this has trouble in Firefox with the way that Firefox the Selenium integration is set up to where it doesn't. Oh, maybe I'm thinking of like sending keys into Firefox, but that would be a good thing for me to test, is running this inside Firefox so it works. But yeah, let's run our whole test suite just for fun. Oops. Kind of see the whole thing in action. Waiting for the browser to pop up. Oh, got 3 different browsers going here. So here it's testing the review. Here it's testing some stuff in this accordion. And there's one failure. I don't know what that failure was. Should not have focus. Expected true to be false. Oh, that was this one. because yeah, when I submitted the form, yeah. So one thing I could do is after setting this, let's see if this would work. Browser, sorry, when it submitted the form, the focus was probably still on this field because when we set the value, I think it may have set the focus on it. So what I'm going to do is click on the page. And I want to see something real quick in this API. Because when you click on the page, normally it clicks right in the center of the document, which could be something we don't want to click. So I want to see if I can do the top left. Element ID click. So I'm jumping into the spec here just to see where it clicks. Once this loads. Oops, dang it. Finally loaded, and then I had to click because I was impatient. Patience, man. In view center point, yeah. So basically it's gonna find the body and click right in the middle of the body, which, I mean, I guess the other thing I could do is like click this field or click this button. Because that button doesn't do anything and it jumps the focus. So maybe that's a good idea. Whoa, what is this nonsense? Animations. Huh. This probably isn't what you'd want to do in your actual test, but it works okay for now. Just to clear out that focus. So I'm going to do the same thing here. So I set the value, I click off of it so that it clears the focus, and then I submit the form and then validate that the focus is moved. Browser, yeah. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. When I submit the form, I guess when initially it doesn't have focus, so I've already tested that, that's not a problem. Set the value, I click that button, and then I submit the form. Okay, let's see what that does. And I'm also going to change this back to be only this test. Well, there we go. That worked. Yeah. So it did have to do with when you set value, the focus was staying on the review content, even though you're submitting the form. I don't know why the click didn't work on submit form or on the form itself. And why is this form submitting is another good question, because in my product page, maybe I don't have form. Ugh. Oh, I guess I only do only have one on the page. Why did my button, I guess, I don't know. I don't know why it didn't work. Click on the button should have worked, but it didn't. Maybe it took too long. Who knows? So that's that. That's the has focus command. So those are the two things. You've got Spectre, which I may show again tomorrow or not tomorrow, next time after I get Postgres installed. Again, you search We Are Friday for that. And then Spectre, like the ghost type, because it's kind of based off of this whole ghost theme of Wraith and Phantom JS and things like that. So that's where Spectre comes from, I believe. I'm kind of reading into that, but really neat. written in Ruby. If you have a Ruby, if you're familiar with Ruby, try it out. And you can integrate it with WebdriverIO and even WebDriver CSS. You should be able to upload screenshots, although it's going to be not as useful with that. But maybe something like WDIO screenshot would be nice to add into it. Really cool stuff. So that's that. And then the other one was this has focus command, which is good for like accessibility testing or usability testing, that you want to make sure that focus jumps. Another thing that I could have tested was when I hit About Us, you might want the focus to be up here on this X or something like that. Or if you have like a phone number input, and it should jump after, like it should jump focus to the next input field when you fill in the first 3 numbers, something like that. Or what was another thing? There was last one. Oh man, go forward, go backwards. Here, when I click on home, I keep clicking the main image, which is all a big URL. When I click on these, they should retain focus. So you see focus is still on there. And that's an accessibility thing as well, that you don't, like, focus doesn't jump all the way up to the page. Same thing goes for here. The focus is going to stay on those arrows. So that's another thing that you could test with has focus. So that's it. Thanks for listening. I should be back again next week, I think. Yeah, should be good. Thanks.